Huh. I think it worked. Oh, yay. Uh-oh. Wait, now what's going on? Oh, jeez, it's reloading. What does this mean? Oh, my word. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay. Am I live? Is it working? I don't know what is going on here. I don't know if I'm even live anymore. My YouTube live streaming thing is just going nuts on me here. So I don't know what's happening. Wow. Manage? It looks like I'm live, but this isn't like, there we go. Okay, you giddy up. Giddy up. Okay. What are you doing? You're killing me, man. Okay. Hello. I think I'm here. Oh, the rocket couch is here, so that means we can start too. Awesome. Whew. Man, I had a crappy. Like I pushed the button to go live, and then my internet died, and so then I had to go in, and then I thought it was working again. Then I pushed the button to go live, and then my whole screen is resetting. Oh, it's a whole story. It was a whole story. It was a whole story. Yeah, I said it right. I screwed it up though. I should have said rocket crotch. I just messed it up. I'm sorry, dude. I'll do better next time. All right, here we go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the live stream. Tonight we're going to be answering your questions, Q&A style. So here's the thing though. Henceforth and going forward until I say otherwise, do not drop your questions in chat until I prompt you for them. That is going to make it way easier for me to actually find your questions and answer your questions. So hold your questions, and then when I prompt you, you're gonna drop them all in, right? And then I'll have them right there, and I can grab the ones, right? And I'll answer questions. So I'll do my best to answer them all. It never happens, but super chats will always get answered first, as long as I see them. And I actually fixed my settings in OBS so that the super chats now show up like they're supposed to. I had a problem over there where they weren't really showing up, and I was missing some of them, but I had fixed that, I think. So there we go. So good old Q&A, hold your questions. And we are doing a giveaway tonight. We will draw the winner to the giveaway at the end of the live stream, so please join that sucker. We should have a link. Nightbot should send you a link down there. But it looks like we have Greg in the house for moderating. And Owen as well. Excellent. They could drop you a link to the giveaway also. And I'm going through my list of reminders here for you. Scotland, sweet. Welcome, Trinda. We are also, we did, remember this thing? Who remembers this thing? We did this a while back. I call it Beat the Boss. Essentially, the way this little bar up here works is that right now you can see that it says my name, the DM Lair. I should have to say Luke. That'd be better. But anyway, that's me. That's me. And if you tip or give a super chat, you will inflict damage to the boss right here on the screen. It has 5,000 hit points, which is, and every dollar that gets tipped or super chatted does 100 points of damage. So it's basically a $50 worth of hit points or something. I don't know. But anyway, you can super chat and tip to do damage, and the person who lands the killing blow will get their name up here. So when this boss dies, the person who lands the killing blow gets their name up here. So that's the way the boss works. We did this before. People thought it was cool to have their name on the screen for a while. So there you go. You guys are welcome to do that. And we got the Beat the Boss thing. And then we also have, oh yes, I want to remind you all that Layers and Legends pre-orders are available for you if you missed the Kickstarter. I think I have the thing here. There we go. So you can head on over. We should have a link down in the chat for Layers and Legends 2. By the way, moderators, Kickstarter, exclamation point Kickstarter, we'll get the link up for folks. So you can head on over here and pre-order if you have not already backed Kickstarter. Remember, these are two big, fat, beefy books filled with 5th edition resources. Let's see, the primary or the main book. I mean, they're both big, huge books, but the book called Layers and Legends 2, there's another book called Layers and Loot and Lore 2, but the Layers and Legends 2 book is filled with adventures, just packed full of adventures. It's close to 400 pages by the time we get done with it, full of 5th edition adventures for you. And then Loot and Lore 2, the companion book, has over 100 monsters in it. It has puzzles, traps, encounters, new rule sets, a whole bunch of stuff that we crammed into the sucker. So if you'd like to pre-order, feel free to do so at the link down in the chat. There should be a link to it down in the description of the video too, if you're catching this on the replay. All right. Whew. There we are. All right. And that got through my list. That's my list. All right. Now, send your questions. You've been holding your questions. Throw your question in the chat. Deluge time. And then we will start answering them. Yeah. Jared Hatch. What's up, man? Corbin Dallas. Hello. How you doing? Night Light. What up, dude? How you doing? Oh, Reaper's like, I've had enough of you being the boss. So Reaper just threw up $50 super chat. Thank you, good sir. Purely to kill the boss. Purely to kill the boss. Well, his name is up there now. I did not last very long. Also, when you super chat, you're welcome to throw questions too. I'll happily answer your questions when you super chat. Oh, here we go. Lagarathan, hello, what's up, dude? Pawson says, starting my first campaign, my toughest challenge is encounter balance. I have used an encounter calculator, but I'm still worried about delving into encounter balance. So that is the problem with D&D 5th edition, balancing encounters. I'm assuming you're running D&D 5th edition. Balancing encounters is the big problem with it. So the way this works, so I have an encounter builder that I use too. So I'm gonna look at it. We're gonna look at it together. I'm gonna walk you through how I use it, and then I'm gonna try to give you some tips and guidelines. And it's gonna depend. There are so many variables. Part of it depends on what level your group is at, and part of it depends on their character builds and how powerful their characters are, because the character classes and races and options in D&D 5th edition are not balanced at all. And a lot of the earlier player options are underpowered compared to some of the more recent character options, which are overpowered. And I don't know how D&D, the next, I don't know what do you want to call it? D&D 2024, what people call 5.5 or 6th edition, whatever, they won't give it a name. So we are in a mucky area of not knowing what to call it. But that new edition that's coming out, I don't know if things are going to be underpowered or overpowered and how that's going to affect things too. My suspicion is they're probably going to be a little overpowered because it encourages people to buy the things, but we won't know until we actually see it. So there are variables that go into this that don't make your life easy as a game master when you want to balance your encounters. So I'm going to pull up the encounter calculator that I use, and then we'll just kind of walk through this topic a little bit. So I go over here, and so this is the one I use, and I'll throw a link to it in the chat really quick for you. There we go. That should have worked. Yay. So this is the one I use. So basically, this is simple, right? You number of characters, the character level, you calculate it, and then you do the monsters. I got 4 monsters. They're CR3. Okay, boom, there you go. And it tells you that it's deadly. Okay, and then you have your results here. It tells you, these are the experience threshold. These are the adjusted difficulty rating thresholds for all the different, difficulties of encounters. And then this is what you're looking at right here, adjusted difficulty rating. Because this right here, because the adjusted difficulty rating of this encounter that I just calculated is 5,600 experience points, that is over the deadly threshold, meaning that is a deadly encounter. And if we are, so that's the basic idea of how to use this. Super simple, super easy. This is the one I use, and this will get you in the ballpark a lot of the time, but there are some things to remember. There are always some things to remember. So the way this is all D&D 5th edition specific. So the way D&D's 5th edition was designed is it's designed around the idea of an adventuring day mechanic. So and the whole part of the idea of the adventuring day mechanic is that a standard adventuring group is expected to encounter a certain number of encounters, groups of enemies throughout the adventuring day. And as they confront those groups of enemies, they are the adventurers, the characters, are slowly depleted of their resources. Hit points, spells, maybe consumables, and things like that. And so over the course of the adventuring day, they're slowly getting depleted. So the whole mechanic is based upon depleting characters of resources. So if you run your games that way, right? If you run your games that way, things kind of work a little bit. In so much that if you have an encounter that is deadly and you have been depleting resources, and players know that they have to conserve resources because there's going to be more encounters, then a deadly encounter is kind of deadly, or a hard one is kind of hard. If you're using the adventuring day mechanic and players are conserving resources and not just going supernova. Because here's the thing, if you're not using the adventuring day mechanic and you're not depleting characters of resources over the course of an adventure, and your players know that they don't have to conserve resources and they can go supernova on an encounter because they're going to get to be able to at least short rest, but potentially long rest after every single encounter. If your characters and players know that, they're going to blow their wad on every encounter. And if they can blow their wad on every single encounter, then a deadly encounter might not be deadly anymore. It might be down in the hard realm, maybe even easier. It really just depends on how much they blow their wad, because you could have something that's deadly and they drop 2 fireballs on the stuff and it's over, right? And that was an easy encounter because they could blow their wad, so to speak. So the whole premise of D&D 5th edition is based around the idea of resource depletion over the adventuring day. And if you don't use the adventure day mechanic, then it doesn't really work that well at all, right? And here's the thing. This is probably anecdotally and part of my gut suspicions, but I have a suspicion, a feeling, that there's a great many of D&D 5th edition groups out there that don't use the adventuring day mechanic, where it's much more normal to have 1 or maybe even 2 encounters before there is a long rest and they get all their resources back, which means that characters can blow their wad, so to speak. And I have a feeling that a lot of groups are run that way. Now, and if your group is running that way, then most of the game balance stuff in D&D 5th edition is not going to work for you, and you're going to have to probably over-tweak stuff, over-tune your encounters, and make them much more deadly than you would think they need to be, because your players are going to go supernova in every single encounter. So that's something to consider, depending on how you're running your game, whether you are running it using the adventure day mechanic, or whether they can long rest whenever they want after every encounter. So that's something to consider. The other thing to consider too is that the encounter balance system works best, I would say, between levels 3 and 10, maybe 12. At levels 1 and 2, characters have so few hit points that, something that's easy might kill a couple characters or TP the entire party just because they have so few hit points. And that's something that most game systems struggle with too. It's not exclusive to D&D 5th edition. And then the other thing, after level 10, maybe level 12, the adventure, the math kind of falls apart and things don't work that well either. And so at that point, you're going to have a hard time using any calculators at all. So at that point, what I tend to do is just make things harder than I think they need to be and then see what happens. And if my players can't handle it, then I tune things back a little bit. It's a play, and you're kind of like, you're guessing a little bit. But in all honesty, if you've run a campaign from levels 1 or maybe level 3 all the way up to level 10 or 12, you've played a while, you have some experience, you know what your players' characters are capable of doing, and you know how good of players your players are, right? Because there's skill in being a player. You know, you can give the same character to 2 different players, and one is going to be more optimal in their choices in combat, right? And be more effective. So there's that to consider as well. But by the time you get to level 10 or 12, you've played for a while, and you're going to be able to make these gut decisions on how to balance things, right? And you'll know what your group can handle and what they can't handle. So that's something to consider. I know that I have had encounters that have been 4 times over the deadly threshold, and this was at higher levels. They were like level 15 or 16, and they took those, I think it was devils out. It was a bunch of devils. They took those guys out without even batting an eye. It was just a crazy pushover. They had some really good characters, builds and stuff. My players were very tactical and knew what they were doing, so they just destroyed them, decimated them. So there's some of the advice that I can give you for D&D 5th edition. Honestly, it's probably one of the absolute biggest frustrations for game masters, is that it's very hard to balance an encounter, to design an encounter that is of the difficulty that you want it to be, right? And that's the thing. If you can make it easy when you want it to be easy, or hard when you want it to be hard, then you can make it whatever you want it to be, you know? Because there's some game masters who will be like, nah, things shouldn't be balanced. Things should just be like whatever, and players should have to deal with it. And that's fine if you want to run your game that way. But if the math works and the encounter balance system works, then both types of game masters get what they want. If you want to balance it, you can. If you don't want to balance it, well, then you don't have to. So this is a frustration with D&D 5th edition, right? Which I really, really, really hope that they fix in the new edition, not new edition, that's coming out toward the end of this year or next year, whenever they actually release it. Like, I'm really hoping they fix that, because if they do, oh baby, that will be amazing. It'll be a boon to game masters, especially new game masters who are frustrated with this thing. So I'm hopeful that they fix it. I really want them to fix it, make it better, because I mean, it's not impossible. If you look at game systems like Pathfinder 2, they do an amazing job with their encounter balance math, and it works really well. And by the way, Pathfinder 2 doesn't use the adventuring day mechanic. So if you design an encounter that is supposed to be severe, it's going to be severe. And if you do an extreme, then they're all probably going to die, more than likely. So, but you can count on it to be mostly what it is, and it doesn't really matter like how many encounters they've had previous to it. You know, there's an expectation. You know, kind of what it's going to be like. And if they've had a whole string of moderate encounters, then they're gonna start to feel it big time, right? So anyway, you can expect it. But so not every game system struggles with this, right? But this is something that D&D 5th edition has always struggled with, and I really hope they fix it, because it would be absolutely amazing. All right, ready? Drop your questions. Drop your questions in the chat. Throw them in there. I will pick one out and we'll do the next one. And if you just threw it randomly somewhere, then you're gonna need to repost it, because I'm not gonna scroll back through chat. I'm just gonna grab things out in the big barrage that should be heading my way. Wee! I think Squeaky wants to come up. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Let's go. Here's the big boy. There he is. There's the big boy. There's the big boy. Oh, we have a giveaway going on too, guys. Don't forget to join the giveaway. There should be a link in the chat somewhere for the giveaway. Hop in on that bad boy. Tashio says, unfortunately, we won't really see that until next year when the monster manual comes out. Oh, whether they've... Yeah, how do you do that? So you're going to get the player handbook, but you won't have the monster manual. So you'll have to use the old monsters, which hopefully they work with the new rules. I mean, I would assume they would make them so they work-ish. Otherwise, what's the point? But we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. Pawson, you are very, very welcome. I'm happy to help, dude. He said, thank you for the detailed advice. Yeah, absolutely, dude. All right. I got a cat down here. It's going crazy. Little guy. Little guy, what's the problem? Yeah? Come here, little guy. Oh, look at this guy. Look at this little guy. The little guy. We should give my cats some snacks. I have 4 cats down here that are bothering me, so I think they want some snacks. All right, little guy. Let's go. Let's see. Let's go over here. Let's go to which one is it? This camera right here. Let's give him some snacks. We have a cat strike. There's little girl. There's little girl. Look at that. Little girl. Yes. I know, Squeaky. You're a big fat turd. There we go. A good old-fashioned cat strike. Good old-fashioned cat strike. The Mightiest Pac-Man says, what's the best way to make random encounter charts and how to populate them? So the way that I make random encounter charts is I have 2 columns. There are online generators you could probably use that'll give you random encounter charts. I'm sure there are. There have to be, right? But the thing that a random encounter chart that almost never gives you is context to the encounter. So besides saying there are, 4 dragons, which would be crazy, there are 4 dragonborn warriors, and that's all that you have on your line entry. You don't want to just say there are 4 dragonborn warriors. You want to say 4 dragonborn warriors and then give context. What's going on here? Well, the 4 dragonborn warriors are traveling down the road, and one of them is heavily wounded and limping and bleeding. And they are looking for assistance and aid, and it turns out that they were ambushed by a bunch of barbed devils or something that they barely managed to escape from. And then they tell the players about this, and then the characters can decide to do something, help them, maybe go after the devils or not. So you have to give some context there. And then that is a random encounter. Now we have the creatures that are involved, and we have a situation, we have context. And that gives you some meat to that, something that the players can use. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It can just be something super simple, a few sentences, and you're good to go. And then you have a random encounter. And then you want to have a bunch of those, maybe 12 of them or something. And then you want to, you can roll for it or you can plan to use them, but you're just going to come up with monsters, and you're going to have some of them be easy, some of them be medium, maybe some of them be harder. But with random encounters, a lot of times random encounters happen on the road while they're traveling, or they will happen in a city while they're traveling from one place in the city to the next. And many times groups will long rest after a random encounter, especially if they're doing overland travel. And so you usually want to go a little bit harder with your random encounters, have them be more toward the moderate or hard or deadly settings, because the group's going to go supernova and they're going to long rest afterwards, and they all know that, and so they'll supernova on you. So you want to have them harder rather than easier. So, and then that's what you do basically for your random encounters. That's how you get your tables set up, and those will be much more fun and exciting than if you everything just attacks, which is stupid and lame and boring. I hate crap like that. You don't want everything just to attack in your games. It's horrible. And the other thing I want to tell you too is that when I create random encounters for my groups, first of all, they're never random encounters. They're almost always planned. I will also I'm usually seeking to tie my random encounters into the campaign somehow. I will use certain enemies that reinforce the theme of the campaign or the plot of the campaign, stuff that's going on in the background of the campaign. Most of the random things that my players come across when they are traveling are not random. Obviously they're planned, but they have something to do with the campaign. They have something to do with something that's happening, and it gives them more information. It gives them more lore about things. It's something else they can investigate. It might just reinforce that these are the bad guys in the area. And oh no, you ran into another group of Darrow. Oh my gosh, these stupid Darrow. They're all over the place, and now they're ambushing us while we're traveling. This is so ridiculous. Let's go kill these stupid Darrow. Holy crap. So reinforce your campaign with your random encounters and plan them out too. And if you have, the other tip for random encounters too is that if you have a monster that you think is really cool and that you're really excited to use, random planned encounters are the place to do that. Because sometimes our campaigns and our adventures have certain themes that are kind of set, and this cool monster that I just read about doesn't really fit anywhere. Well, guess what? I mean, obviously I can push it in somewhere and make a reason for it to be there. Dungeon masters do that all the time, and it's kind of fun to do that and not too hard. But if you don't want to do that, or you can't for whatever reason, then what you can do is have it be a random encounter, and then you get to use that cool monster in some place in the game. It kind of like, you know, you get that like that itch, you know, that need to do that out of your system, and then that'll help you, you know, because sometimes if we stick too hard to the campaign that we're running and the adventures that we're running, and we don't allow ourselves to follow the thread of some new cool idea and to scratch that itch, we might get tired of what we're running and then want to change everything completely. So what I've found is that inserting cool new monsters and things into little tiny random encounters, or maybe a little tiny side quest or something, or maybe a quest that's based upon a character's backstory, what that does is that lets me do something new and fresh, and it also gives something new and fresh to the characters, the players as well, so that when we, and it's not too big of a tangent, and then when we go back to like the main campaign arc, well, now we're all like, oh, cool, yeah, we're gonna do this again, sweet, because we had kind of like this little break doing this awesome, cool new thing over here, right? And we feel refreshed. So I think that's another good use for random encounters as well. All right. Throw your questions in chat, and I'll pick some more out. If you can repost it, because I don't want to scroll back and look for questions. So if you already dropped one, I didn't answer it, repost it, and then I'll just keep trying to grab them. Also, don't forget that we have the Beat the Boss going on right now. All super chats and tips will deal damage to the boss, and if you deliver the killing blow, then your name will go up on the screen. Right now we have Reaper. Reaper's been sitting there for 15-20 minutes or something, and nobody's even trying to beat the crap out of him. He came in, listen, Reaper basically cheated. Reaper came in at almost toward the beginning of the live stream, and he donated $50 right off the bat. He killed me, which is not cool, and he got his name right up there. So if I were you, I would try to do some damage to Reaper and dethrone him and get his name off from there, because then your name's going to go up there. If you deliver the killing blow, your name goes right up there. So let's get him off from there. That punk, he kind of broke the rules, man. You know, he just donated $50 and got his name up there. It's not cool. Yeah, Reaper's laughing it up. Laugh it up, buddy. Laugh it up. The Rocket Crotch says, what if the person that kills the boss becomes the next boss? I mean, I can't control for that. If Reaper wants to kill himself and become the next boss, then good for him, I guess. You guys don't have to kill him again. All right, let's see. Looking for a question here. What's your homebrew mechanic encounter gimmick that you're the proudest of? Hector, I don't know my homebrew mechanic that I'm the proudest of. I had a homebrew, I was gonna say my homebrew initiative system. I haven't used that for a couple of years, but when I used it for about a year or so with my Sword Coast Guard group, and we liked that a lot, until we all decided that we didn't want to do it anymore. But that worked pretty well. But I think the little mechanic that probably serves me best and saves me lots of time at the game table is that it's the way that I track monster hit points. So most of the time, the way, and this is when you're playing in person at a game table. Online, it doesn't matter, because you just, you know, the virtual tabletops take care of all that for you. It's really easy. But if you're playing in person, a lot of times what I used to do when I was tracking monster hit points is I would have, you know, there's 5 monsters. I'd have all 5 monsters on a piece of paper behind my screen, and then as they had hit points, right? Let's say they had 100 hit points, and so I'd have 100 hit points written down next to each of them. And then as they took damage, I would subtract the exact damage off their hit points on my piece of paper, right? That takes some time, okay? Take some time. And then it occurred to me, addition is easier than subtraction, at least for me. And so then what I started to do is I didn't write 100 down. I would just start adding the damage they took. And then when they reached 100 hit points, then they're dead, right? I knew that they were dead. And so I did that for a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? Subtracting the exact amount of hit points is time consuming. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to keep track of them in multiples of 5, or no, I think I actually went to multiples of 10. I'll keep track of them in multiples of 10. So if somebody deals, so and then I used like a little, you know, the notches marks where you put like 4 notches and then you put 1 across and that equals 50. So each little mark, each little tick mark you put on it equals 10 hit points, and then 1 across equals 5. And so then I started counting in multiples of 10. So basically if somebody did 5 damage or more, I would round up to 10 damage. If somebody did 4 damage or lower, I just wouldn't count it. And it's just, it averages out so that a monster dies roughly when it's supposed to die. And monsters, you can argue too that monsters should have random and different amounts of hit points anyway, instead of every monster having the exact same amount of hit points. And so when I started doing this, using little tick marks and counting in multiples of 10, well, that made things a whole lot faster, tons faster. And then I'm just sitting here like, you know, dun, 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 I'm behind there doing tick marks, makes it super fast. And I still use that technique for bosses, because then what I found out then, the next thing that I discovered is that even better than that is, because here's what happens a lot of times. Players want to know which enemies have been damaged the most, because they want to focus fire on the most wounded enemies and kill them first, because it's just more effective to do so. And so they'll constantly be asking me, how much damage? How is this enemy looking? Is this one bloodied? Is this one wounded? Which one hasn't taken any damage? Da, 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 da. And then I'd constantly have to answer those questions, right? I'm like looking at the monsters, looking at my notes behind the screen. I'm like, just geez, okay, let's figure this out, right? And then I got to give their answers constantly. And so at that point, I'm like, listen, I need a visual indicator for my players so they can just look at the miniature on the board. We're playing in person, remember? They can look at the miniature and be like, that has been damaged. Ooh, that one's almost dead. Ooh, let's attack that one. And so then it occurred to me, I can track monsters' hit points and give my players a visual indicator by simply taking a die and putting it next to the miniature, and then incrementing the die as it takes hit point damage. And so this is the way I do it then. If a monster has about 40 hit points, I will put a D4 next to it. As soon as it takes damage, as soon as it takes 10 points of damage, I put a D4 next to it with the 1 face up. My players all know that it has taken 10 points of damage out of 40, roughly. And if it has 60 hit points, it gets a D6. If it has 80 hit points, it gets a D8. And then if it has 120 hit points, it gets a D12. If it has up to like 200 hit points, it gets a D20. And so if you look at my games when I play in person, what you'll notice is as monsters take damage, they get dice next to them. And then the dice numbers get incremented. And then my players can see how damaged a monster is, how close they are to dying. And then they stop asking me the questions all the time, and the game goes faster. It's easy for me to keep track of hit points because the die is next to the monster, literally next to it. And I just, as it takes damage, I just increase the die. And I keep track of it that way. And then if you have monsters with like, maybe a monster only has like 20 hit points or something, well then I'll use a D6 and I'll just, estimate the number of pips to show or how many not to show. And it's super fast to keep track of it. My monsters get a visual indicator. It's perfect. It's beautiful. And so that is probably one of the little like homebrew mechanics that I swear by. Now, the only stipulation to that is that bosses do not get dice on the board. I don't put dice on the board for bosses. I keep track of their hit points behind my screen using multiples of 10 and stuff. And my players can ask me if they look wounded or not, and I'll tell them. But for bosses, I want it to be I want to put that information a little bit more obscure, so it just makes that boss fight a little bit more like, oh no, we're fighting a boss. We don't know how many hit points it has, because at the moment you put out, if the boss has 200 hit points and I put out a D20, they know, oh man, 200 hit points. But if I have out 2 D20s and they're like, oh my gosh, 400 hit points, I don't want them to know. I want there to be that level of like, mystery to it and suspense. So that is what I do for that. All right, we got a super chat from Green for Whiskey. Thank you, sir, for your $10 super chat. And you have dealt 1,000 points of damage to Reaper. We're slowly working on getting him off the board. And Green for Whiskey says, okay, different wording for this question. Know of any good resources for 3D mapping, virtual tabletop stuff? I need to make a pretty complex geometry for a toroidal planet. Just looking for an easier way. Oh, geez, I have no idea, man. I don't even know what toroidal planet means. And 3D mapping. I don't know anything offhand. I don't use 3D mapping, and yeah. I mean, I literally, if I were to answer your question now, I would go to Google and do a Google search and try to find some stuff, but I don't know anything offhand. But if anybody in the chat knows, please let Green for Whiskey know. And I might also go over to our Discord. Do we have like we have a Dungeon Master area in our Discord too, where you can ask questions like that. And maybe somebody over there will know, but I just don't use that stuff. So I have absolutely no idea. Oh, it's a donut shaped planet. Oh, cool. Donuts are good. Donuts are good. All right. Sorry, sir. I just don't know anything about that stuff. I don't really do much mapping myself at all. I usually use pre-made maps, or I commission people to make maps for my games. All right, here we go. Oh, all right. Drop your questions in the chat. Drop your questions in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. And then I will pick some out here. But first, we have a super chat. We have it from the mightiest Pac-Man. Hello, good sir. Thank you for $50 super chat. And the mightiest Pac-Man has also killed. He has killed Reaper. You've killed Reaper. You have killed Reaper. Reaper's name is off the board. And now we have the mightiest Pac-Man. Look at that, baby. He's just sitting there all happy at 5,000 hit points. Okay. So the mightiest Pac-Man says, what is the best way to regulate gold so players don't get too much so soon, but can get enough for upgrades, weapons, armor, and boat updates? Also, how do you like your coffee? I always drink my coffee black. I can probably count on one hand the number of times I have had coffee that isn't black in the last decade. I don't like flavored coffee. I don't like milk in my coffee. My wife always doctors her coffees, and I'm like, you're ruining it. Like, I like the bitter taste of coffee, and I like the dark roasts, which are even the most bitter ones. So I like black coffee. Always black coffee. Now I like different types of tea. Flavored tea is very nice, but black coffee, black. I like flavored coffee too. All right. Okay. So you want to know how to regulate your gold? What game are you playing, man? If you're playing D&D 5th edition, the economy is destroyed. There is no economy. The D&D 5th edition economy is broken beyond all repair. Out of the box, broken. Out of the box doesn't work because the loot tables, if you follow the guidelines in the dungeon, and this is something else that I really hope they fix for their next edition that's not a next edition, that we don't even know what the name of it is. I guess it's D&D 2024, but some of it's coming out in 2025. So I'm going to keep on going back to this because it makes it really confusing to me when they won't give it a name, because I don't know how to talk about it. But I hope they fix this, because the loot tables, so if you look at the Dungeon Master Guide, it gives you very specific recommendations of how much loot to give out to your players. It has these random tables that you roll on to give them the expected amount of loot. And it literally tells you that between levels 1 and 5, they are expected to get loot equivalent to X number of rolls on the level 1, I think it's 1 to 4, on the level 1 to 4 table. And then from levels 5 to 10, they are expected to get Y number of rolls on the level 5 to 10 loot table. They have very specific guidelines that are in the Dungeon Master Guide, and I've followed them for years. I have mostly followed those guidelines in my 5th edition games when I run them. And what I have found by following those guidelines is that during levels like 1, 2, and 3, your players are kind of miserly and they're like hoarding their gold because they have to buy armor and other things they really need. By level 5 or so, they have enough gold and stuff that they're pretty much okay, but they're not like in excess of it. But after that, it really starts to ramp up where by levels, say 10, especially beyond 10, their characters have so much gold that there's nothing for them to spend it on. There's literally nothing they can spend it on unless you allow them to buy magic items. And if you allow them to buy magic items, you're opening up a whole world of pain for yourself because the game is kind of balanced. I say kind of because the game isn't really balanced, but it's kind of balanced around the idea that players don't need magic items to be powerful. So if you give them the recommended amount of magic items from the loot tables, that's more than enough. If you allow your players to use their gold to buy more magic items, you're opening up a world of pain for yourself, and I'll get to why that is in a second. But the other thing is that you're now allowing them to not only get more powerful because they can get more magic items, but you're allowing them to customize, that you're allowing them to get the magic items that they want, the very specific magic items that will complement their builds the best, which will increase their power exponentially. Not linearly, because they'll be able to get all of these benefits that stack and really complement themselves. This guy's right in the way. So if you allow your players to buy magic items, that is one use of gold, which will break things. And then the reason that makes your life difficult as a game master, and you may or may not care, and you may be happy to do this, but it will require you to rebalance encounters, make encounters way more difficult than the math would suggest that you should, even though the math doesn't work anyway, because your players are now way more powerful, and so you have to overtune things to accommodate that power, to challenge them, if your goal is to challenge them. And I recognize that not all groups care about challenging their players. Some people just want, to just steamroll everything, and that's how they have fun, which is fair if that's the game you want to run. But if you don't want to run that game, then you're going to have to overtune things, and it'll take some guesswork to do so as well. So we're back to having way too much gold and nothing to spend it on. So I don't really have a good solution for that because I've never really had a lot of time to develop a solution for that, and I've never cared enough to work on developing a solution for that. But my suspicion is that there are probably lots of supplementary resources out there that will tell you things that you can insert into your game that will give players something to spend their gold on. That's one solution. You really have two solutions. Well, you have three solutions. You can do nothing, which is mostly what I do. Just do nothing. I don't have time to screw around with it, to balance the economy that's broken and that should have been balanced when the game was made. I don't have the time for that. So you can do nothing, and you can still play the game and have fun, and just accept that your players are going to be swimming in gold with nothing to spend it on, and just be like, well, okay. The second thing that you can do is, and this is kind of what I've begun doing now to a certain extent, is just give them less gold, give them less stuff, because then there's no sense in having them to be able to swim in it, right? Because what's the point? So just give them less. And then the third solution, which takes the most effort on the part of the game master, is to give them the amount of gold that the books recommend that you give them, but invent things for them to spend the gold on, or go out and find third-party resources that will give them things to spend money on. There might be some sort of crafting system where they can craft and get magical items or some cool things with the gold, but then you're back, of course, to players being more powerful and having to rebalance the game to account for crafting and magic items and stuff. So it's, at some point you're going to be like the hamster on the wheel running around, which is why, back to the beginning of this conversation, I was hoping that they would just fix the economy in the next edition that comes out, right? Because it would just make everybody's lives a little bit easier. So those are kind of the solutions. I don't know if what was the super chat again? Let me move this thing. Okay. What is the best way to regulate goals so players don't get too much too soon but can get enough for upgrades? I think you eyeball it. In the early levels, you give them what the books recommend you give them. and then you just keep an eye on their treasure level. When you see that they have way more than they need and they have nothing to spend it on, you stop giving them so much. You just don't give them much gold. You have to just eyeball and keep an eye on it, and then use your gut and adjust things as you go. And you just have to babysit it. If you really want to accomplish your goal, you have to babysit it for all intents and purposes, because the rules out of the book just don't solve that for you. And yeah, that's just life. Cat. Where'd my dog go? Uh-oh. Oh, I lost my dog. I lost my dog. Mi amorcito! ¿Dónde está el perro? ¿Ah? Está ahí arriba contigo. Te voy a dar. My dog wandered upstairs, and she's upstairs with my wife right now. It's that our dog is blind, and so we have to be careful that she doesn't go upstairs and then fall down the stairs, because she's fallen down the stairs before. And so that's why when I didn't see my dog, I was like, I gotta find out where my dog is, because this could be a problem. Squeaky needs a big old hug. All right, come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. Oh, he's a big boy. He's a big boy. He's a big boy. He's a big boy. Oh, yeah. All right, I gave him a hug for you. He was like, I'm being attacked. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, drop your questions in chat. Drop your questions. If you asked it previously and I did not get to it, I apologize. I get this deluge of questions and I can't get to them all. But throw them back in and I will pick one. And as a reminder, super chats will always get prioritized. And also, we have the boss going on right here. Your super chats will deal damage to the boss. Tips will also deal damage to the boss. And if you land the killing blow, you will get your name up there. Right now, the mightiest Pac-Man is up there. He's been sitting there for I have cat hair on my face. He's been sitting there for not too long. Reaper was up there for quite a while, but we kicked him off. Well, the mightiest Pac-Man kicked him off. So, all right, let's see what we got going on here. Any suggestions for writing dialogue and cutscenes? I'm not much of a wordsmith. Well, I don't write dialogue. I never write dialogue for my games that I run. I make bullet point lists of things I want to talk about or describe, and then I ad-lib them. So you will almost never find me reading from a paper like a cutscene, or especially not dialogue. I always role play the NPCs when I do their dialogue. I don't read dialogue from a paper. Now I do use read aloud text. Sometimes I write my own read aloud text for my Pathfinder 2 game, or right now I'm running Escape from the Fae for my patrons, 5th edition, and I wrote it with read aloud text, so I'm using the read aloud text. But as far as dialogue goes, I don't read that word for word. I have role playing notes, and I use those notes to speak. Now, if that is a struggle for you, and that's fair because everybody has different abilities and skills and talents and crap like that. So if that's a struggle for you, then if you're looking for pre-made read aloud text, or you're looking for pre-made written stuff for you, and you can't do it yourself, then you have a couple different options. The first thing that I would do is go check out Describe. Go to describe.com, and I'll probably have to spell it because it's not spelled like ordinarily. They spelled it differently. So let me go over here. So you have describe.com. I think I got it right. There you go. You go there and you can type in a bunch of, they have a search engine. You type what you're looking for in there, and they have read aloud text that'll come up that you can literally read or paraphrase to your players. So, and a lot of it's free, so you can go grab that and use it. And they have a paid subscription as well that you can actually use the DM Lair as a discount code, and you get like 10% off your first purchase. if you want to get a paid subscription, which isn't necessary because they have a bunch of free stuff. So you could do that. The other thing that I would recommend to you is that ChatGPT is really good for creating some of this stuff, like read aloud text or descriptions of things. It's not always the best, and it tends to repeat certain words a lot. Like, so it's not super spectacular, but it is a resource that's out there, and it does an okay-ish job at it, and can save you some trouble if you just need something to use, because you can give it a prompt for something very specific that you're looking for, and it'll spit something out that's pretty passable, right? And if that's not your forte, then it'll probably be better than what you can come up with yourself. So I would check that out as well. It's good resources out there for that sort of thing. Dirty White Llama. I almost called you Dirty Wilma. it's like, Dirty White Llama says the big squeaky HUD made him quit pestering you. Yeah, he did. He stopped bugging me. But now he's just sitting. He's right there looking at me, though. ChatGPT is great if you don't mind things being cliche. Yeah, there's like, it has a certain way that it tends to word things or say things or something. It likes to end its sentences in participial phrases, if you know what those are. I've noticed that a lot, or gerund phrases, or participial phrases. So it tends to have a certain rote way of writing. But dude, if it's for your home game, like la-di-da, man, it's saving you time. So I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah, ChatGPT, dude. I literally have, like, when I run my online games, I have ChatGPT opened up on one of my screens, and if I need a random name, I prompt it and it gives me a name. Or if I need something quickly on the fly, like my players are doing something, I'm just like, oh crap, I'll prompt it and it'll give me something, and it'll spit crap out. And it's like, is it the best stuff in the world? No, but like, is it as good as what I'm probably gonna come up with on the fly when I have no time to think about it? Maybe. So it's a tool that's out there that can be used. You can change its style of writing with some practice. Oh, interesting. I guess I haven't messed around with that. I use it more for like ideation stuff than actually like writing what I need it to write and then using it as is. It's more like for me, it's like a research tool, or I'll tell it things like, give me a list of 10 different noble names, and it'll give me a list, and I'll either use one, or some of the names will inspire me to think of something on my own, so that's more of like, I use it for research and ideation and stuff like that. I also have a chat GPT that is specifically dedicated to giving me synonyms. I have an entire chat that's to give me synonyms, and I put a word in, and then it gives me like 5 or 10 synonyms. That's all it does. Because when I'm writing, I do a lot of writing. When I'm writing, I will sometimes need a different word and it's not the right word, or I'll know that there's a word out there and it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it, and I'll put in a word that I do know, and then it'll generate the synonyms, and then, oh, that's the word I wanted right there. That's perfect. So I have an entire chat dedicated to that. All right, here we go. Drop your question in chat. Drop your question again. And if you already dropped it and you want to repeat it, feel free to repeat it. That's perfectly fine. No worries at all. And people are ready. People are ready now. They're ready. They're like, they had it in the box and they're just waiting to push enter. I'm never going to get through all of these. Wow. We have a giveaway going on too, folks. Don't forget to join the giveaway. If one of our lovely moderators could drop a link to the giveaway, that would be amazing. Thank you. Any advice on making menus or catalogs for goods in shops? I don't usually do that. I usually don't do that. If you wanted to, good gravy, man. that's a sort of like super detailed thing that I'm probably never going to do for my games. It's too much. It's like too much. It's too time consuming and it's too specific, you know? And it has such like limited usefulness. Now you could argue that, well, it makes the game feel more realistic, the verisimilitude and stuff, because the players can see exactly what's on the menu or exactly what the shopkeeper offers. Yes, you're right. It does do that. So if you have the time to create all of these lists that may never get used, then okay, do it. But I would argue, I submit to you that there are better things to spend your time on that would make your game better overall than creating menus and lists for like shopkeepers and taverns and stuff like that. I was once watching an actual play, and they went into a tavern, and they asked the waitress or barkeep, whatever, what kind of drinks they had, and then the dungeon master went on to describe a list of 10 different types of ales they had with names, and he was describing the way they tasted, the different flavors and stuff, you know, and this one has notes of citrus and all this kind of stuff. And I'm watching this actual play. I didn't watch the actual play for long, for what it's worth. And I watched that and I was just like, this is stupid, man. Go fight something, or I don't know, man. But the players were all good actors too, because they were all just like, oh wow, that sounds amazing. Oh, I'll take that one. I want the hoppy one and stuff. And I'm just like, wow, please don't put me in that game. I will kill the barkeep and I will steal his ale. That's not for me, I suppose. If you really want to create those lists though, then I would use a random generator. There's probably a random, you can probably Google search random tavern menu generator and you'll get, I guarantee you it exists. 100% guarantee you. Random shopkeeper inventory. Guarantee you those generators exist online. All you got to do is Google them and then boom, you're done. Right? And you don't even have to do it in advance. You could just have them bookmarked, and the moment your players go into a shop and you need a random list, you just boot and it populates. This is assuming that you have a computer or you're playing online. Even when I play in person, I have an iPod next to me. iPod or iPad? iPad next to me that I can do that sort of thing in. So I would do that, or geez, you could use ChatGPT to give you some lists as well. So that's the other thing you can do. So that's how I would do it. If I really, really had to have them, that's how I would do it. I'm telling you, ChatGPT is becoming like the game master's best friend for game prep, for ideation, for research, for like trying to get things really quick, very fast when you need them. You know, it's not like professional quality. It's not the type of thing that you can get from like companies, from like actual writers and people using their brains and imaginations. But when you're in a pinch and you just need something that works and gets the job done, dude, it works really well. Ninja Hound says, you haven't seen Baking King live stream in years. I don't think I actually pre-scandal area. Baking King live stream? What's Baking King live stream? What is that? I don't know what that is, but it sounds interesting. Oh, I mean, I can write at high levels too, but it's still useful to have an assistant. Even lawyers have paralegals, you know, and they can definitely write at super high levels. I'm the Bacon King? Oh, thank you, Ninja Hound. I'm the Bacon King. Well, welcome back to a Bacon King live stream. All right. All right. Drop your questions in chat. Go, 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 go. Drop your questions, drop your questions, drop your questions. And I'll pull out another one. Where's my drink? Rocket Crotch, I see your question, and I am declining to touch that with a 10-foot pole. That is a topic of much much talk in our niche, so you'll have to just ask others about that. How do you make combat intriguing for the players to be engaged? Oh gosh, there's so many things you can do. I have multiple entire videos talking about how to make combat interesting. I'll give you one tip. Almost never have single monsters go against your players. When you have a single monster, that's almost always the worst thing you can do, because movement no longer matters. Players, 3 of your players are gonna run up to the monster and start whacking at it, while 2 of the others just stand back and pulverize it with spells and arrows and stuff. And there's no movement, there's no tactics. You just really have, every single round is mostly rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. There's no decisions to be made, there's no choices to be made. It's mostly just beat them down, beat them down, beat them down, beat them down. And so single monsters by themselves usually end up being very lackluster and uninteresting. There are ways to get around it, and even things like legendary actions kind of help, but they don't really too much. All legendary actions do is just they give you more damage output a lot of times, and they help with action economy, but it doesn't change the fact that you still have a stationary monster that's getting whacked on. So the best advice I can give you, the very first thing, is to just have more than one enemy. If you have 4 players, having around 4 monsters is probably a good idea. Maybe 3 is okay, maybe 5 is okay. You know, have around the same amount of monsters per characters. That's the first thing you can do. That'll make a big difference right there. Second thing, have more than one enemy type. Don't have them all be like orc barbarians. When you have 5 orc barbarians, okay, we all know what they do, la la la. Tactics, kind of like whatever. But when you have 4 orc barbarians and an orc shaman who is in the back casting spells and doing things, now things get more interesting. Your players have choices. They can start to use different tactics and stuff, right? And then if you have 3 orc barbarians in the front lines, you have an orc shaman casting spells, and then there is an orc archer who is up on a ledge somewhere. Well, now we got even more interesting. Tactics become even more important. Decisions become more important. So by simply having more enemies and having different types of enemies and having them do different things and be in different places on the battlefield, we've now made our little chess match from the players between the players and the monsters. We've now made it even more interesting for our players. And more interesting for the game master, for that matter, right? Because it is when you're running a combat, it is like running a chess game, right? Where each side is the players are doing things, the game master is doing things. You're all using strategy, tactics, and things like that to like try to win and to play the game. And so that makes things way more interesting right out of the bat. So do those 2 things, 3-ish. Use terrain a little bit, and dude, your encounter is gonna be way more interesting. Can you give me some advice on how to be a player after just DMing for years? Any tips to switch mindsets? I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things. The biggest thing that I try to remember when I am a player is don't steal the spotlight. Don't be a hog. Because as the game master, I'm used to being involved in every part of the game and always having something to do. I'm always playing. As a player, you spend lots of time waiting and being quiet and making the transition from always being active and involved and answering people's questions and talking quite a bit, right, to facilitate gameplay, to only talking half of the time, a quarter of the time that you're accustomed to, and mostly waiting for other people to take their turns and not really having a whole lot to do while you're waiting for them. Even out of combat, right? That can be boring, and it can take some getting used to. And you might, at least I know, this is for me, I have the impulse to always try to be doing something because that's what I do, and I'm a game master. But as a player, if you do that, you're really just negatively impacting other people's game because they don't get to play because you're stealing all of the spotlight. And so the thing that I try to keep in mind the most is Let other people play the game. Let other people play the game. Allow them. Don't do all the talking with the NPCs. Let them do the talking. You know, obviously in combat, you have no choice but to wait. Unless you're one of those annoying players that tries to tell other players what to do on their turns. I wouldn't do that. That's annoying. I really dislike that. So, yeah, that's probably what I can tell you off the top of my head when I'm a player. What I try to remember. Good night, Nixit. Thanks for hanging out, dude. All right. Drop your questions. Drop your questions. Yes, yeah, well, Squeaky was over there. He was just off the screen a little bit. We have a giveaway going on as well, ladies and gentlemen. Do not forget about our giveaway. We're going to be drawing the winners of that at the end of the live stream. Also, as a reminder, you can beat our boss up here. The Mightiest Pac-Man is currently our boss. You can deal damage to him by super chatting or tipping. Can we get a link to, how do we do the tipping links? Oh, I need to create a command to do a link for tipping. So you can super chat or tip to deal damage to the Mightiest Pac-Man. Super chatting is probably the easiest way to do it. And if you kill him, if you deliver the finishing blow, the killing blow, then you will get your name right up there next to him. And it says he has 5,000 hit points. That basically equates to $50. So you could, if you just throw 50 in a super chat, you'll get your name up there. If you want to have your name up there, you might not care about that. I also answer super chats right away, unless I'm in the middle of a question. But they definitely get priority. All right, there we go. Let's take a look. You're gonna bite me, are you? You're gonna bite me, huh? Yeah, you like that? Okay, that's great. Green for Whiskey says, question, can I have $1 million? If you earn it, if you go earn it and get a job that makes that much, or you do something to make it, yeah, absolutely. You absolutely can have it. There's nothing preventing you from having $1 million. Hey, Killer Kitty, thank you for the $25 tip. I appreciate that. And look at that. Killer Kitty has half killed the Mightiest Pac-Man. We only need $25 more to kill the Mightiest Pac-Man, and then your name will be up on the board. Squeaky needs attention. All right, here we go. Iceblade says, as a player of 7 years and a GM for 1, I'm thinking about trying to be a paid GM. What do you think we need to do before we know we're good enough? Oh, I don't know. Jeez. How do you know you're a good enough game master to be a paid game master? I don't know. There's not like any specific things that come to my mind that like you can measure yourself by. Like this is like a newish thing. So I think probably one of the first things I would look at are my current groups, do they look like they're having fun? Do my players keep coming back? Do I have a low turnover rate? Because the single biggest indicator, by the way, the single biggest indicator of your players having fun in your games is they keep coming back. That's the single biggest indicator that they're having fun. Very few people are going to spend 4 hours every other week or so often doing something that is not fun for them. So if they keep coming back, that is a good indicator that they're having fun. If your players don't keep coming back, if you constantly lose players and you have turnover, then that is a good indicator that they're not having fun. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they're not having fun, because it could be something else. But a lot of times when players don't come back, it's because they're not having fun. Because everybody's always like, we're busy, things come up and all this type of thing. But we know mostly that for most people, if you really want to do something and you rank it super high in priority, you're going to figure out a way to do that thing. You're going to cut somewhere else. You're going to get rid of other activities. You're going to figure out a way to do the thing that you really want to do. That's true for most people. So yeah, that's one way to tell if your players are having fun. And if your players are having fun, that probably means you're a halfway decent game master and you're running a pretty good game. So that's something to think about too. I would also, besides just testing yourself, hey, don't bite me that hard. You need to moderate that right there, buddy. Soft bites are okay. You get too hard, you're gonna get roughed up. Little turd. I would also run games at conventions to see how that goes, because there's a big difference between running a game for people that you know, whether they're friends or just people that you know. There's a difference between that and running games for strangers, because when you go to paid GMing, you're running games for strangers. And a lot of times the people that join your game are going to be just random unrelated people that are going to come join it, and they may or may not get along together. And so then you have to manage the social dynamics of that. And one of the best ways to learn how to manage social dynamics of strangers in a game is at a convention. So I would try running some convention games to see how you do at that. And then just you're really just going to be gauging yourself, you know. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if you want to go into paid GMing, you just got to try it. You just got to go to Let's Start Playing. Is that how? Let's see. I'll get a link for you. I think it's called Start Playing, actually. Start Playing. Let me get a link for you. Start Playing is the paid game master site that I recommend to people if you want to start being a paid game master. So I'll drop a link for it in the chat here for you. Whee! All right, so I just dropped a link for you. You can go to Start Playing, and you can become a. I got cat hair on my keyboard. You can become a paid game master tomorrow. It's pretty easy, and whatever. Their platform facilitates everything. They facilitate the payments. They charge players and stuff. You can list your games. You can, run games for any system you want and stuff. So it's very, very solid. It's very solid. So I would recommend that. I mean, put a game up, start running it, and the great thing about Start Playing too is that players can leave reviews of the game masters. So if you're looking to play in a paid game, you can go to Start Playing and look for games that interest you. And you can literally see reviews of the game masters to see if what people are saying about them, if they're any good or not, right? And then if you're a game master running games there, then your players are going to leave reviews on you potentially. And so that will help you gauge whether you're a good game master or not, because you're getting reviewed, right, by strangers. Which being reviewed by a stranger is probably a more trustworthy way of gauging your ability as a game master than what your friends say, what your normal players say, would be my inclination to believe. So yeah, but at some point you just got to try it and see what happens, And if people stick around and they keep on paying, then you're onto something, that you're probably got what it takes. If people leave bad reviews or they never come back, then oh yeah, I haven't got this figured out quite yet, and I probably need to work on my game more before I start doing it paid and stuff. So those are some thoughts that come to my mind. I've never really thought about that before. I just started running paid games myself when I started doing the whole YouTube thing and my Patreon. So I have an entire Patreon tier that's dedicated. It's called the Ancient Dragon tier, and I run a D&D game from those patrons. There are five of them. Yeah, 5 patrons. And right now we're running through Escape from the Fae, which I'm currently writing. I'm almost done. I have 2 adventures to go, and that will be written. We're on the first adventure right now. It'll take us a while. So we're running through that right now. But yeah, I got five patrons there. The game is full. The game is full, by the way. But we do have an Ancient Dragon Reserve tier on my Patreon. And you can join that tier and you'll get in line for when somebody leaves the game. Now, we don't have super high turnover, but people do leave from time to time. I think the last time somebody left was in December. So it's been like 6 or 7 months or something like that since we had somebody leave. So it's the turnover is pretty low. But if you get in line on the reserve, then you're going to be in line. I think there are a couple people there already. But anyway, you're in line, and then when spots open up, you get cycled into the game. So, but that's when I started doing a paid game, And then the who was it? Sean was I think Sean was He may or may not have been the very first player to sign up for the tier, but he was one of my original players. He's still with us. We've been running that game for 3 or 4 years now. Sean will know. Sean would know. We've been running that paid game for my Ancient Dragon patrons for like about 3 or 4 years now. Ask Sean sometime, he'll know. And he's been there from the very beginning. I think there are no other players that have been there the entire time, but Sean has. So it's cool. All right. Hey, don't forget to join the giveaway. Join the giveaway. Join the giveaway. Can we get a link to the giveaway? Do we still have a moderator? Did I lose my moderator? Greg was here. Oh, Tasho was here too. Tasho, you need to go to bed, dude. I don't know if Owen was here for like the very beginning, and I haven't seen him since. So I don't know what happened there. So, oh, Tasho is still here. Tasho, what are you doing? You need to go to bed, man. It's like late for you, dude. What are you doing, man? You're on a holiday? Oh, cool. Sweet. Holidays. I get vacations. I take vacations, but holidays don't really exist for me because I just take time off when my wife wants to, basically. She dictates it. It's like we need a vacation. Take me to Traverse City. Okay. Oh, hey, Glad Cleric, what's up? Oh no, Glad Cleric, you keep working, man. You keep working, dude. Those adventure conversions for that adventure arc, getting the Pathfinder 2 conversions, those are like high priority. And then obviously the adventure arc that you're writing is high priority too. So please ignore the live stream. Those are probably, those two things right there are like absolutely at the top of your list for sure as far as priority goes. So please work. I'm like a slave driver. All right, drop your questions, bombard me with questions. I'm gonna get this tea filled up and then we're gonna keep going. And what's the deal here? Nobody is killing Mightiest Pac-Man. Look at this guy. Mightiest Pac-Man has been sitting there for like 15 minutes or now. He's at half of his hit points. There we go. Killer Kitty's working on him. Killer Kitty did a little bit of damage. Awesome, Killer Kitty. Thank you. Mightiest Pac-Man thinks he's the king of the hill. We need somebody to beat him up and do some more damage to him. He only has 2,000 hit points left. 2,000 hit points and this guy's gonna be dead. And then whoever delivers the killing blow is going to get their name up there. And that might be you. Yes, the Mightiest Pac-Man. We are taking your bacon away from you. You're going to lose your bacon, man. You'll lose your bacon. Killer Kitty has a super chat. I will get to that. Just let me take a sip of my tea here, which hasn't even seeped for that long. So it probably is not that good at this point. Ooh, baby. Are you streaming the Escape from the Fae campaign? Also, best campaign or one shot to have prepped for last minute pop-up game? No, we are not. We don't stream the Escape from the Fae game. The game that I run for my patrons is a private game. I do record it for two purposes. One, if a patron misses one of my games, then they can watch it to figure out what happened, right? But also, everybody who is in the reserve tier gets access to our recorded games. So if you are in the reserve for that game, it's called the Ancient Dragon Reserve tier on my Patreon. If you're in the reserve tier, you get access to all of the recorded videos as well. From like the very beginning, if you want to watch them all. So that's another perk of being in the reserve. You're in line to get in the game, but you also get access to all the recorded videos. So if you're in the reserve, yes, you can watch them. But they're not streamed and they're not publicly available to just anyone. There's just a small number, very, very small number of people who get to watch those games. It's much whenever I stream, I used to stream games, and it's not usually as fun. There's more pressure, and you're worrying about the audience and all this kind of stuff. I've always found that games are more fun when they're not streamed. So that's my preference. When I really want to run a good game, it's like I don't want it to be streamed. Recording it's fine because that's not any pressure, but stream doesn't work for me. All of my Pathfinder 2 games, my Thieves Abound campaign, those are all available to watch over on my other YouTube channel. What the heck is that thing called? I think it's called the DM Lair Plays. If you Google the DM Lair Plays, I think you'll be able to find my other YouTube channel that has all of my Thieves Abound Pathfinder 2 games up there. So you can watch all of those. Those are publicly available, but not the Patreon ones. Okay, and then the other part of Killer Kitty's question was, what's the best campaign or one-shot to have prepped for the last-minute pop-up game? I have no idea. I don't think you're going to be able to have an entire campaign prepped for a pop-up game because you don't need a campaign prepped. You really just need like one adventure. So, well, I don't know. I would, if you're going to have if you want to have a adventure prepped for a pop-up game, I don't think I can really tell you an adventure offhand that I would tell you to have prepped. I would just go out there and find one that you really like, and then and ideally one that you've ran before, because if you've run an adventure before, then the chances are pretty good that you can run it pretty much on the fly if you need to. You might still need to have notes and stuff. If you've run an adventure several times, then it makes it even easier. Like I have some adventures that I've run at I've run at conventions several times that I could probably run right now. I would need my notes still, but I could probably run a game really quickly with them because I've run it before. So I would just I'd find something that you like and prep it and get ready to run it so that if something happens and you have to run an adventure really quick, you can. So if that's a need you have, then, you can do that. But that's what I would recommend. Wyatt Font. How often do you eat bacon, Luke? I almost never eat bacon. Almost never. We don't buy bacon very often. I think we buy bacon like at the store to cook here at home twice a year, maybe. It's not very often. We don't buy bacon a lot. Now, if we're out like eating at a restaurant or something, if it's a hamburger or a type of food that usually has or can have bacon on it, then I'll probably get the bacon on it, but that's a little different. It's like eating out type of thing. Okay, here we go. We have super chat from, oh wow, there we go. So we have a super chat from K2. I will get to yours in a moment. Thank you, dude. And then we have another super chat from Jacob Cobberholm, who has killed the boss. You've killed the boss, good sir. Congratulations. You now have your name up there. And you have 5,000 hit points. Let's see how long you last. Can you last until the end of the live stream? We only have 30 minutes left, and the live stream is going to be over, so you may or may not last that long. We'll see how long you can keep your name up there. My money is we're going to have somebody that takes you out, dude, but we'll see. So K2's super chat is, which warding spells do you recommend using with a warding circle before opening Wizards of the Coast products in my home? Oh, I don't know. I don't want to answer that question. I'm going to tell you why. I want to be more positive. Like I don't like being negative, and I don't want to be negative, and I don't like thinking about negative stuff. I'm generally a positive person, and when there are sometimes there are certain things that just makes you super negative. And like when we have to talk about the OGL scandal and other things that Wizards of the Coast has done, it's like it takes you to a place of negativity that it doesn't make anybody happy. You know, it doesn't make me happy. So I don't want to talk about some of that stuff. You know, I'm trying to be optimistic. I want to be positive. You know, I'm like, I hope their next edition or not next edition, whatever you want to call it, that's going to come out later this year and beginning of next year. I hope it's better. I hope it's cool. I hope it fixes some of the problems that we have. You know, I'm going to have to buy it because this is my job, right? This is what I do. So I'm going to have to stay up to date with it. And I'm going to have to buy it because they won't give it to me for free. It's interesting. I have contacts at Paizo, and they'll give me anything I want. They'll give almost anybody anything they want. Not anybody. Influencers, people that have YouTube channels, people that review their products, that sort of thing. Like they'll give you their products. It's just they'll email you. You tell them what you want. They'll get it to you, and then you can use it and you can tell people about it. It's really cool. Paizo's amazing. I love Paizo. I've always had amazing interactions with Paizo. It's really, really cool. But Wizards of the Coast, I'll have to buy the stuff myself. They won't give it to me. But I will buy it because I have to be able to speak intelligently about some of these things once the books are actually available. So. That was warmer than I thought it was going to be. Let's see. Okay, the question from Jacob Coverholm is, would you consider running a DC 20 game for your own gaming group? Yeah, absolutely I would. It's going to be a couple years because Dungeon Coach is still working on it, obviously. I think when he last spoke to me, he and I talk a lot over, we have on our phones, we have an app called Marco Polo. Marco? It's called Marco? I don't know. And we talk a lot. We were talking today and stuff. And this was like a couple days ago or something. He was telling me that his game is right now, currently, it goes to level 2 because he's still developing it, you know? So, but yeah, when he's done with it, yeah, that'd be fun. I would do that. We're right now my gaming group is we're playing Pathfinder 2, and I think they're about level 4 or 5. So, but there's a strong probability that when that campaign is over, probably at level 20, I almost always run my campaigns level 20. Almost always. I just do it. Whether it's 5th edition or whether it's Pathfinder 2, we almost always go to level 20. But once that campaign finishes, which is going to be a couple years from now, at least, once that finishes, then yeah, I'll probably be looking to potentially run a different game system. I've been eyeballing Shadow Dark. That looks really interesting to me, so I might do a Shadow Dark campaign. But Shadow Dark, I have a feeling that Shadow Dark campaigns are probably shorter than other campaigns for reasons I don't want to talk about. Not negative reasons. It is what it is type of thing. It's the nature of I think it's the nature of how that it's kind of written a little bit. But anyway, that's a topic for a different day. So that wouldn't take too long, probably. And then DC 20 is an option as well. I just need my books. Like, I have to have the book. I have to have a physical book for me to run a game system. I can't do PDFs. Like, PDFs are useful, and I want to have them for reasons. But if I'm actually running a game or running a game system, I need a physical book. I must have the physical book. I must have it. I cannot operate off PDFs. I can't. So once Alan gets his book finished and I have it in my hands, then running DC 20 is going to be an option for me. Dude, Tashio, DC 20 doesn't just look amazing. DC 20 is amazing. I've played it at least 3 times, I think 4 times, with Dungeon Coach, with Alan, right? We played it at Gen Con last year, we played it at Gary Con last year, and then I think I played it online with him. With a bunch of other YouTubers, and then what was the 4th time? I'm pretty sure there was a 4th time. At least 3 times, maybe 4. I can't keep track. But it's fun. It's lots of fun. It's really fun for players. The options you have, the flexibility you have, the way that you have 4 actions, and you can spend them on your turn, off your turn, and you can use them to grant yourself different advantages and things. It's really fun. It's really, really fun. It is super crazy cool. So yes, I definitely think it's a great system. And obviously he's got to get it fleshed out more than just up to level 2, but that's what he's doing. That's his whole purpose right now. He's developing it and he's working on it. So, but yeah, it doesn't just sound cool. It is cool. I had lots of fun playing it. So I'm very confident that is going to be an amazing game system. And so yeah, I'll definitely want to run that at some point for my players. So I just got to have some books in my hand. I need some books, Alan. Give me some books, man. Come on, buddy. Let's go. Ron Carr has bacon and eggs every morning. Oh, nice. That's what I need. No, I don't need that. I don't need that. I've never run Fate before. No. All right, ladies and gentlemen, throw your questions in chat. Deluge time. Throw your questions, all of your pent-up questions in chat. If you have asked the question and I did not answer it, you are welcome to repost it. That is not a problem. Nobody is going to smack you for reposting your question. As long as you're reposting it when I ask you to repost it or when I ask for questions. If you just keep spamming it all the time, then that'll be a problem, obviously. But repost your questions and I'll pick one, and I'm already getting more questions than I can possibly handle. So if you want a super chat, that'll get you to the top of the line, and then I'll answer it right away. And you're gonna kill Jacob. He has 24 minutes left. Let's see if he can live. When you super chat, you will deal him damage, and if you deliver the final blow on him, then you'll get your name up there. And it's 5,000 hit points, but that equates to like $50. So you can do a $50 super chat and get your name up there if you care about that. And if not, whatever. And let's see here. Rocket Crotch says, my 6-year-old daughter has expressed an interest in playing D&D. Do you have any tips for adapting the game for young players like that? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. I literally have a video coming out. Let me tell you when that video is coming out. I have tons of awesome, amazing. Oh, we have a really good video coming up. I'm gonna tell you when it comes out, and then you can watch the video. I'm such a jerk. When does that video come out? I'm looking at my calendar right now. July 16th. July 16th is when that video comes out, and so my friend Ed Robinson helps me with the research for my videos. And basically what we do is, like, he doesn't script them. I make the scripts, but he does all the research, right? A lot of the research. And obviously I contribute ideas and my knowledge and stuff as well, but Ed has tons of experience himself. And then he not only contributes his own experience, but he goes out and does research all over the place. And he turned in his research notes for running D&D or tabletop, TTRPGs for young children. And there's lots of good stuff in there. And so we have a really, really cool video coming out on July 16th that will talk about running D&D and tabletop RPGs in general for young kids. And then I do have like my own little system as well that I kind of made that's super, super simple that you can easily use for your 6-year-old daughter, and she'll have a blast. And the rules are like, it's like a paragraph of rules. It's like nothing. It's super, super easy. So, uh-oh, I just got my dog back. Aw, there she is. Her diapers are falling down. Zoe, what happened? Mommy not taking care of you. Mommy doesn't love me. Okay, come on. Mommy doesn't love me. All right. My diapers are falling down. Okay. There you go. My diapers are falling down. All right, you're fine. So yeah, I'm just gonna give you a cop-out answer and tell you to watch the video. I'm sorry. I'm a jerk. Green Whiskey says, when I receive $1 million, I will buy a book. Oh, okay. Well, you might be waiting a while, but... ladies and gentlemen, don't forget we have a giveaway going on tonight. You can join the giveaway by clicking the link in the chat. Hopefully, if Greg or a moderator, if you could throw a link to the giveaway in the chat, that'd be amazing. We're going to draw the winner at the end of the live stream, which is coming up in about 20 minutes or so. Yeah, you like my mug? It's just, you can get this. Go to Amazon and look for this sort of thing. You'll find it. You might not get this exact one, but you'll get one similar to it. I use this exclusively for my live streams, for what it's worth. It's my live streaming mug, but it's wooden. It has a this one right here has a stainless steel insert that is removable. Is it removable? No, I don't actually think it's removable. But you can wash this thing, and it's obviously you can wash it, because if you couldn't, then this would be nasty. It's wood. The exterior of it is wood. It's probably pine. Yeah, I'm looking at the grain. I'm sure it's pine. So, and then it's just stained, and then sure it has like a lacquer or a varnish on it to help protect it. But yeah, its exterior is wood, and the interior is a stainless steel it's a big cup. It holds a lot. And then the bottom of it says, because I'm the dungeon master, that's why. So that's cool. It seems bigger on camera. Yeah, I mean, next to my head. Here you go. Look how big it is. Yeah, I like what it says on the bottom too. It's cool. All right, did you throw questions in? Did we already throw questions in? Where are my questions? I don't see a list of questions. Did I forget to ask for questions? Greg says, how many times can you run an adventure until you find it mundane? 2-3 times. Definitely after 3 times, I'm getting bored. So, and that's probably when I'm going to start looking to make a new adventure. Like if I'm going to a convention or something, I'll probably like run an adventure a few times at a convention and then never run it again, because it's just become boring to me. But I might recycle adventures though sometimes. Like for instance, I'm running games at Gen Con this year. I have 2 games at Gen Con. I don't know if they've been approved yet. I technically submitted my games way after the deadline, so I don't even know if they're going to approve them. I don't know if they have or not. Maybe somebody can go on to can you even sign up for games for Gen Con yet? You have to be able to, because it's like a month or so before Gen Con. So maybe somebody can go on their website and see if my games are listed or not, because I submitted them a few days ago, like a couple days ago, because I'm way behind in my work. And I may or may not be running games at Gen Con. But my point is, what I was trying to say is, I made an adventure about 3 years ago that was really cool, and I like it a lot. And I decided to run it again at Gen Con. And it won't be mundane for me. It'll be fun, because it's been so long since I've run it that I won't even remember a whole lot about it. A 7-foot tall object falls 10 feet. How far did they fall? It's a trick question. Oh gosh. It fell 10 feet. If it's 7 feet tall and it falls 10 feet, it fell 10 feet. This is the shelf. Okay, so this is the floor, right? You have the floor right here. It doesn't matter how tall it is. If it's 10 feet off the ground, it doesn't matter how tall it is. It falls the same distance. It doesn't matter. It's 10 feet anyway. Yeah, doesn't matter how tall you are. You could be a 50-foot dragon and you fall 10 feet. You fell 10 feet. All right. Green whiskey, you're gonna have to go get some new trick questions for me, man. I'm tired, but I'm not that tired. Not yet. Yeah, you're still gonna take 1d6 damage. Absolutely. Yeah. Do you have any advice on how to balance modules and encounters for constantly changing player numbers or compositions? I run a D&D program at my local library and I can't anticipate party size. This is what I would do, man. Modules generally are balanced for 4 to 6 players, which means they're technically probably balanced for 5. And if you have 4 or 6, it'll be okay. So what I would do, there's literally no way to really do what you want to do, not in advance, because you have no idea how many people are going to show up. Now you could technically go through the encounter or go through the adventure, and for every single encounter, you could create permutations of the encounter that are balanced for this many characters, this many characters, this many characters, and then whatever. You can make a whole bunch of different variations of it. You can do that, and I have actually done that before. Not for characters, but for levels. So it's possible to do that, but so much time spent doing that. It's kind of like, ugh, that's kind of crazy. So what I would do instead is I would just take what I got, I would show up to the library, and then see how many players I got. If I got 3 players, well then I'm going to, tweak my encounters down a little bit. Take out a monster or something, or have a monster have fewer hit points, and so that way it kind of accounts for it. I'm gonna go with my gut on it, and just kind of wing it a little bit. Now, one thing that will help you though is that I would, if you have the time to calculate the difficulty of every single encounter and then note that down next to the encounter, like if an encounter is supposed to be easy, then maybe you don't touch it at all if you have fewer characters. But if an encounter is supposed to be hard and you have fewer characters, then you probably want to adjust it, right? Because it could become deadly or worse. So that's something you could do that help prepare a little bit, and then you just adjust things and tweak it as you go. And then remember too that if you have more players, like if you have 7 players or 8 players, then you could obviously add additional monsters. You could make the monsters do extra damage and stuff. But at the end of the day, you're really just you're gonna be eyeballing it and going with your gut. And then the other thing you can do too is you can, in the middle of the encounter, in the middle of combat, you can adjust things. You can curate the combat as you go. Have monsters have fewer hit points, or they do more damage all of a sudden because they got angry, or I don't know. And you can do that kind of stuff too. There are lots of different ways to do that. I don't want to go into all the methods right now. I think I probably have an entire video that talks about how to adjust encounters during the middle of the encounter. Actually, I do. I know I have at least one video that talks about that, if not 2. So, but that's kind of what I would do. But you're just gonna have to go with your gut on it. That's what you're gonna have to do. Rocket Crotch says, you know what? Cop out answer or not, I'm super glad I asked because now I'm excited and looking forward to the kid version video. Yeah, it's good. That is a video that my patrons have been asking for a long time. I do this thing for my patrons. So if you become a DM Lair patron, one of the things you get to do is you literally get to suggest video ideas to me. Like every single month, people can fill out a form where they suggest video ideas. And then what I do is I take the video ideas that have been suggested, and then I create a poll where people can vote on them. I give you 4 options and people vote on the video ideas. And then the winner, I will make a video about that topic. And so we had the video idea of how to run D&D for really young kids, like around 5 years old, like really young. And that video was up several times for voting, and it kept on losing. Like, it never won the voting. But it's a topic that I've run lots of games for children, for young children and for like middle school age children. I've run lots of games for them. I had an entire group for years that was like younger kids. And so it's a topic that I have knowledge and experience about, and I'm like, that would be a great video. I want to make that video, but it kept on losing in the voting. And so finally I was like, you know what, this is stupid. I'm gonna make the dumb video regardless of whether if it wins or doesn't win, I'm gonna make the video. And now we're making the video. And so that'll come out what did I say, July 16th. So there you go. So that's the story. That is the story of why you have that video. You know, every time I put that on the poll, I was like, come on, win, win, win. It never won. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm kind of the boss around here. I could make a video about that topic if I want to, whether it won or not. Because I'm the DM, that's why. Because I'm the DM Lair, that's why, yeah. All right. Do you have a description for either a monster or environment that you have heard or that you have come up with that has impressed you? Probably. I'm sure there have been times when I was ad-libbing descriptions during games that afterwards I was like, wow, I nailed it. I did really, really well on that one. But I just don't remember at the time. I'm not going to be able to remember, no matter how hard I rack my brain. Because those are the things you just come up with in the moment. And you're just like, ooh, sweet, that was great. You know, but I can't remember all that stuff because I'm making stuff. I'm pulling stuff out of my butt the entire game session. You know, I ad-lib a lot of stuff. I plan a lot, but there's certain details and things that I just do in the moment, you know. What is your favorite thing about higher level campaigns and combats compared to lower level campaigns and combats? My gut reaction is nothing. Well, there is one thing. Higher level monsters can be really cool and really interesting and seem like they would be fun. But the problem is I don't know, almost every high level D&D is overall not super fun, I've found, as a game master. Now my players might be having fun, they might enjoy it, but as a game master, there's some things about high level D&D that I can say are fun for me, but there's so many things that are not fun about it that outweigh those fun things overwhelmingly and make me not want to run high level D&D games. I always do. I always go to level 20 because I figure if my players are going to stick around this long, you know, they want to get up there because they want to unlock all these abilities and spells and cool things, and they want to fight all of these high-level monsters because they almost never get to, and so we're going to do it for their sake. But I go to level 20 and I go into high-level games, not because I necessarily want to. There's part of me that kind of does, but then once I get there and I've been running it for a while, I'm like, now I remember why I don't like high-level D&D. But I mostly do it for my players so they can experience it and they can say, I've been here, we ran it, I know what it's like, I've done this stuff, you know, and I've experienced it. So, but there's not a whole lot of compelling stuff about high-level D&D. And I'm specifically talking about D&D 5th edition, which I've run into the high levels many times now. 1, 2, 3, at least 3 times, gotten all the way up to level 20. One of the times we stopped at level 17 or something. So, but that's still pretty darn high. 2 of the games have hit level 20. And that's pretty good. That's pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good. Because it takes a few years to get to level 20. We always start at 1, by the way. But I think the biggest thing I think that's interesting for me is getting to use some of these cool high-level monsters, right? They never are actually as fun to play as you think they're going to be, but there's still that level of excitement that you feel, you know, at least before the game starts, I guess. I don't know. It's hard, man. High-level D&D combats they're just kind of sloggy. They take a long time. And monsters have so many abilities and spells and things that it's hard to keep track of them. You almost always forget to use certain things, and there's a high level of complexity that kind of there's a lot of stuff going on. So I don't know. It makes it more challenging, I think. Level 3 to 12 is perfect. Yeah, those are good levels. Levels 3, I like running levels 1 and 2. I always start at level 1. I always do. But you're right. Level 3 is when things really start to get better in certain ways, and 3 to 12 is very nice. 3 to 12 is very, very nice. I 100% agree with you. Yeah. All right. Drop your questions. Drop your questions. Bombard me. If you have already dropped a question, you're welcome to repeat it. Throw it back in there, and then I will grab questions out of the chat. We probably got time for one more question. And Jacob, it looks like you're gonna survive, dude. Jacob, you're gonna end the stream as the boss. It looks like nobody is beating you. He's still got all of his hit points. So, I mean, this might be premature, but congratulations, dude. You got your name. You lasted till the end, man. Yeah, that's true. Greg says Kobold Press monsters have maintained my will to DM. Yes. I don't know what I would do without Kobold Press monsters. Like Tome of Beasts 1, 2, and 3, and then Creature Codex. Like, I use when I'm running D&D 5th edition, I use Kobold Press monsters almost exclusively because they're way better than what Wizards of the Coast has been able to do, like in their monster manual and other things. So yeah, Kobold Press monsters are super nice. I use those almost exclusively. Of course, now that I'm running Escape from the Fae, most of the monsters are homebrew monsters that my team and I have created. So mostly Zach. Zach, I think Zach created all of them. Yeah, I wrote the adventures. Zach made all the monsters. That was our division of labor. So, but we have custom monsters. So and they're cool. They're exciting. But yeah, Kobold Press monsters are the bomb for sure. We're about to draw the giveaway winner too. So if you'd like to join the giveaway, get in on that. Hopefully we have a link down in the chat where you can join the giveaway. Yep, I see it right now. So join that giveaway. We'll draw the winner in just a couple minutes here. All right. Question. Kelly says, my partner wants to try and DM their first game. They want to start with a one-shot. Got a recommendation for which one-shot to play? Ideally, something from any of your DM Lair magazines. Oh gosh, what would I recommend from one of my magazines, dude? Oh, I don't know. We have so many adventures in there. They all like blend together in my brain. I'm much more familiar with my Into the Fae and Escape from the Fae adventures because I wrote all of them myself, which makes you tend to be more familiar with them. There is an issue of Escape from the Fae, which I'm going to recommend to you. It's not Lair magazine, but it's Escape from the Fae. I just got to pull it up really quick so I can see my list and tell you which one it is, because there's one that's really cool that I think is a fun adventure. Let's see, what is this called? Deal with it. Sanctioned Insurrection. Sanctioned Insurrection is the name of it. So this is Escape from the Fae 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Escape from the Fae number 5 is called Sanctioned Insurrection, and you can get it on the DM Lair store. But that is a really fun adventure. It has so one of the things that I'm doing for all of my Escape from the Fae adventures is every single one of the adventures has a quirk to it. It has a different little, sometimes a mechanic, but other times it's not necessarily a mechanic, but everyone has a little twist to it where it's not everything is just like a dungeon crawl where you just go room from room and just kind of kill stuff and explore and stuff. So every single one of my adventures, I've very deliberately made them unique in some specific way. And Sanctioned Insurrection is unique in that you can. So there's a big bad boss in it, and he has a bunch of people working for him. Okay, and there's slight spoilers here, but not too bad maybe. But you can defeat the big bad boss by just going in and killing everything. However, you can also, there are certain objectives that if you meet those objectives, you can get all of his workers to revolt and rebel, go on strike against him. And that is an alternate way to overcome the challenge too. And so that I think is kind of interesting. So maybe that would be something that they would be interested in. So I would recommend that one. Dane says he has so many one-shots that it's hard to choose. Yeah, there are so many adventures out there. And most of them written by different people. And I'm not always involved in the day-to-day reviewing and editing of our adventures. I have a team that works on that stuff. And so, yeah, it's hard. Hey, you're very welcome, dude. I'm pretty sure you're a patron, Kelly. If you're a $25 level patron, then you should already have received that, because all of our $25 patrons and above are getting Escape from the Fae, so you should already have access to it. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you're a patron, but I don't know I don't know which level you're at. But anyway, but it's a cool one. Okay, let's draw the giveaway winner. Winners. All right, we're drawing the winner to the giveaway. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, Dream's gone. Yeah, you get a whole bunch. My $25 level patrons get tons of stuff every month. It's crazy. It's more stuff than you can ever use probably in your games. Okay, here we go. Abigail from Oregon. Abigail from Oregon. You have won the giveaway. Congratulations. I'm going to be sending you an email, and we will get you hooked up with $50 DM Lair store credit, and then you can grab something cool that suits your fancy. Yeah, I think that's the right term, how you say that, whatever. So, all right, Abigail, congratulations, and everybody else, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And if I didn't get to your question, I apologize, but there's good news. I'm here every Thursday, almost every Thursday. And next week I'll be back, and we'll probably be doing a Q&A. I have more fun with the Q&As. I know I've been doing the RPG horror stories where I read those things, but I don't know. I don't have as much fun on those streams. And anyway, so we'll probably be back next Thursday. We'll probably be back, do some Q&A and stuff, but eventually we will. So, all right, I'm done. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. It's been fun. Where are my buttons? Where are my buttons? Push my buttons.